Okay. Hi, Tomek. Thank you very much for joining me today. You're a former patient of mine and someone who knows pelvic pain personally. And you've agreed to do an interview for us today just to tell us a little bit about your background, some three key things that help to get you out of where you are, a message to your past self, and then a message to anyone who's going through this at the moment. So, would you like to introduce yourself and a little bit of history to your case and just, yeah, bring everyone up to speed?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. So my name's Tomek. I live in North London. I'm 46. I was, and I think I am back, a keen athlete, keen sort of sportsman. I did triathlons. I work in a bank, sitting job. I'm an auditor. Yeah, it all started 2 years ago. At around this time, pre-Christmas, 2 years ago, when I was coming back with my kids and my wife from the park, and I felt, wow, a pain in my sort of, pelvic region. And then sort of straight to A&E, thinking what is happening. The guys in A&E said, this is definitely something to do. It's this condition to do with your pelvic floor, but we'll give you antibiotics and straight you're on antibiotics for 3 weeks. So it was getting worse and worse. Pelvic pains, going to the toilet, urination, bowel movements, sitting for longer than 10 minutes. Couldn't do that. I was in a dark place. I was in a dark spot. It was, and then I thought, slightly panicking, going through the internet, going through the web, finding different websites, some very alarming, thinking, that didn't help. Reading that stuff really didn't help my condition. The pain levels going up. During that time, it's lasted about 2 or 3 weeks when I was looking for support. During that time, I did visit, top doctors in London, North London, urologist, again, prescribing more antibiotics. Had some procedures done, one of them colonoscopy, and so on. Everything clear, nothing sinister happening there. That didn't really sort of answer my questions, and I'll maybe move on to the key features of my recovery, the 3 key features. I'm an auditor, so an auditor analyzes and assesses things and makes sure, tries to understand what's the root cause of a symptom, and that's what we do. And it's usually something bad happening, and then the symptom being a bad thing, right? And for me, it was like, okay, definitely there's something bad. There's definitely something bad happening. I need to understand the root cause, need to analyze, need to get the answers. And only when I started getting those answers, being, one of them, speaking to you, Carl, having the first initial sessions with you, was that I became calmer. I was calmer. It was definitely the first step. That this could be triggered, these pains could be triggered by this and that, and sort of lifestyle, and could be diet and so on. That brought that brought a lot of calmness into my life at the beginning. And then I think the next point was, so that was definitely the first point, very significant point, the foundation of the recovery. The second feature was, there are finding that path to recovery, the different sort of, is it diet, is it movement, is it mindfulness, or is it a combination, different thing, or other things, and I think for me that was critical, really, to understand. I know for a fact that stretching didn't help, at the beginning. There was something, you need to do stretching, and I read it somewhere first on the website. I was like, oh, the pains are getting worse. That didn't help. Then, however, mindfulness, different movements, not the movements I do. I said I'm a triathlete, so I usually do running, I do cycling. I said, what about, doing something else, rotation? That definitely helped. I went to a park with my kids, skate park with my kids, and we did a bit of skateboarding. That was the first time I did it, balancing different that was, you know, that was improving the condition. And I was thinking, wow, that this is good. So finding the path, I think it's important. You know, what is your recovery path? And that was, for me, it was a combination of diet. You know, change my diets. Initially, very dramatically, I was like a militant, sort of militantly, sort of, I'm not going to eat dairy and so on. I came back to dairy a bit, but I'm still not doing a lot of dairy, not doing a lot of meat, red meat especially, you know. So I'll move on later on, you know, to what benefits long term that has on my health and my well-being. But at that point in time, you know, discovering what is the path was critical. So and doing movement and coming back to that movement, because, you know, as a keen athlete, I wanted to move more, doing triathlons, doing running on the track and so on. So that's the second feature. And I think the third one is, you know, there's ups and downs during the recovery process. So initially, you know, a couple of hours without pain, wow, that's amazing. And then after 2 or 3 hours, it comes back again. And then it's so discouraging, you know, you're discouraged, you're thinking, oh no, this is back again. So I think being patient for me was important, you know, being patient and thinking, you know, this is getting better. It's like small steps, you know, long, you know, today, you know, without pain, it's, I don't know, it's 15 minutes. Tomorrow will be 20 minutes. You know, I'm at a stage now where there's days without pain, and it has moved through in the last 2 years. It was 2 years, right? So, but it's, you've got those, that there'll be periods where you think, oh no, I'm back and in the black, really dark place. It is going to change. So I think, you know, just being conscious of that. So yeah, so those three things really. The first one, understand what is the root cause. Second, you know, different pathways, recovery pathway. And third, you know, managing those down, those worst periods, right? Those periods where you're back into sort of, you think zero, but it's not really zero. You're progressing, but it's those 3 points which helped me in my sort of recovery, I think.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Tomek. And really, really key and integral components to full recovery as well is having that understanding, you know, what is going on? Why am I getting these things? Is it what I'm being told by the GPs and neurologists? Is there something else that's going on? Are there other contributing factors? Learning to manage it, learning to take back control. What can I do to make myself feel better? What can I do more of? You said some rotation, some various activities. What should I be doing less of? Or maybe we got you to go and do, and you're right, so I was quite strict with you in your diet to begin with. I'm well aware of that. And there are definitely a few times I'm like, well, can I try this? And what about this? But you stuck with it. And you've actually, as you said, you kind of maintained some of those changes to your lifestyle and diet as well. And then knowing that there are going to be darker times and knowing that there are going to be lighter times and navigating them well. You said it so eloquently. When we do have symptoms that do come back to us, it can put us back in that dark place. And that's not nice. So learning to navigate that and knowing by viewing the bigger picture that there is change that's occurring. So yeah, 3 really key cornerstones to recovery. What would you say now, if you could give yourself a message to Tomek 2 years ago, what do you think that message might be?
You will recover. You know, you will recover, definitely. You'll be able to manage those flare-ups a lot quicker, a lot better. The thing which is happening to you now, well, I'm talking about myself 2 years ago, the thing that is happening to you now is actually not maybe all bad. It's not all bad, because there are long-term changes to your lifestyle which would benefit you, or lifestyle, or your life. So the things for me is a different outlook on, different family-wise. No, not putting so much, pressure on my work, my self-ambition, and so on. I have a slightly different view now of my career. I wouldn't be able to. It's hard to. It's a tough one, right? But I wouldn't be able, I think, without that moment to reflect and think, that moment of dark or sort of place or slightly, uncomfortable and pain gave me that moment. You need to reflect. You need to step back a bit, think about, where are you? Why are you? Why are your objectives? What are your objectives in life? Where's your family? Where's your friends? Reconnecting with my friends. diet, again, sort of making, just for myself, the diet, I think, I then spoke to one of the, I went to one of the doctors, who's looking at, after the colonoscopy and so on, and he said, well, what diet do you have? I'm like, I don't really have a diet, it's this and that. He's like, dairy and meat, don't overestimate how much good you have done with what you've introduced, and I'm trying to keep with that, but I think going back at the 2 years ago, the key message would be, as I said, you're going to recover. This is something which you, to some extent, you'll benefit in long term. I know it's a tough message to some of you guys out there who you're not experiencing this now, but long term, there are some benefits, definitely.
Yeah, it may not feel like it at the time, and as you say, if you're talking to yourself 2 years ago, your past self may be saying to your current self, how is this going to benefit me? How am I going to feel good? Like what good is going to come from this? And it can not feel like any good's going to come from it.
It will definitely come back. Yeah, it'll be the good. As I said, changing the view of your relationships with others, the friends, not being so strong, not hard on yourself in terms of when there's in the company, when you're doing things, even sports. I had like really very challenging sports sort of objectives for myself, and I thought, I'm a 46, let's just calm down a bit, let's not be top of the pack there, maybe mid is fine, or when you're running, let's say a 10k, I don't want to be top at the moment, I want to be comfortably middle, and maybe sometime win one of the sort of 1k races, but let's not be over ambitious in some things, and yeah, that reflection helped me definitely.
Yeah, so I'm hearing being realistic and being kind and being patient to yourself. That's brilliant. Thank you, Tomek. What about, so if someone else is hearing this at the moment and they are maybe where you were 2 years ago, I'm guessing some of the messaging to them might be some of the similar messages you might give to yourself, but is there anything else you wish to add to that as well? So yeah, someone who's hearing this for the first time and just at the start of their recovery or their journey.
Definitely there's support out there to help you guys, support and help. Sort of, so and I would say, opening up, as I said at the beginning, to your friends, to your family about the condition you have it makes you calmer. It relieves the symptoms. For me, that personally worked. You will find your the path to recovery, and everyone has a different path. We're all different. So I think cherish the small changes, the small positives. If it's changing, you're going for a walk and you're feeling, oh, actually this is good, just cherish that and build on that. It won't happen overnight, the change of you really total relief from pain, but I think that definitely, cherish those small things, make sure that you have them in your mind, and then build on them. Yeah.
What a lovely message. Yeah, recognize those times when things are actually, hey, this is quite nice, I'm okay, and cherish them. Often we dismiss them and think, oh, I need to get there, I need to get to recovery right away. But it is, and I think also a good thing is to reward yourself, like give a pride. If you're doing well, have that. Don't be so strict on your diet. Sometimes have that chocolate cake, or have that coffee, have that beer. Go for a beer in the pub. So not to be too strong, too tough on yourself from the beginning, because it's not. And it does help rewarding yourself. I found that it does help. Those small things help. You're feeling better about yourself. The body's feeling better. Your mind is feeling better. So. Very wise words. Well, thank you once again, Tomek. It's been a real pleasure catching up. Thank you for your input today. I know many men out there will find this absolutely priceless. So kudos to you. Congratulations. I'm really proud of you as well.
Thank you. All the best. Thank you, Carl.